Yo, what is up, guys? Spider Looker here, and hopefully you guys are having a webtacular day so far. Before we get started, I just want to throw something out there, and that is that I do not hate Tom Holland at all. I think Tom Holland is a great person, and I love him to death. In a weird way, no. Um, but I think he's an awesome guy, and I don't think any of the reasons why these movies don't work is his fault at all. I think it's more the director's fault, and maybe the MCU's limitations, if they have any. I don't know what they are. But from that point on, guys, let's get started with the review. And before we get started, none of these points that I'm throwing at you guys are from least to greatest or greatest to least. They're all just kind of spread around. So if you guys would like to get a snack to snack on while you're watching the video, go ahead because it's gonna be a little bit of a longer one. Now, my first big issue with Tom Holland's Spider-Man is that there's not really a real love interest that's gonna really make you feel anything. What I mean is, like, when you saw Spider-Man Homecoming, we knew that MJ, Mary Jane, Michelle Jones, whatever you call her at this point, honestly, we knew that she liked Peter, but Peter really had no feelings towards her. At least they didn't show it. But all of a sudden, in Far From Home, he loves her and he wants to go out all the time with her, and he tries to do whatever he can to get to her and just be on a field trip with her. I don't understand how they're trying to expect us to really relate to that when even Peter didn't even like her. So how is that going to work? Now, Liz, in this case, I think she did fine because we at least had some build up for her character, but not really much for MJ's. Now, this next point is honestly a bigger one and kind of one that really concerns me, and that is that Uncle Ben is not mentioned at all or even referenced. Only time he's really referenced is in Homecoming, like one time, right when Peter is talking to Ned in his bedroom and says all that Aunt May has gone through, but they never really show what she's gone through. And in Far From Home, they have a suitcase with BFP on it, which stands for Ben Franklin Parker or something. I think that's what it says, and that doesn't really give you any impact of what Peter's gone through. And Uncle Ben in the original Spider-Man trilogy, he was in it at least once a movie or twice, or however many times, and you really felt a connection between him and his uncle. And this one, they're trying to make the uncle Tony Stark, and I personally think it doesn't work as well as Uncle Ben would have. So the next point is that Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, overshadows Peter's story way too much. And here's some perfect examples for you guys. Edith was a huge part of Far From Home, and it really just brought everyone back to the conclusion that Iron Man's dead, and really didn't focus on Spider-Man at all. The next one is that the villains are connected to Iron Man specifically. So Vulture kind of wanted Iron Man's tech and all that stuff, and he kind of blamed Iron Man for his problems. And Mysterio also had a problem with Iron Man, especially because he screwed him over with his business. And that really just bothers me because they really have no impact to Spider-Man whatsoever, or anything that has to do with his life besides Iron Man, which it just sucks, man. And the next thing is that Iron Man literally gave Peter all of his costumes, almost. Only costume that Peter made himself was the sweatshirt, whatever you call it, his original costume that he started out with, and really that was good. But then the Civil War suit or Homecoming suit, whatever you want to call it, he made him that one. He gave him the Iron Spider suit, and technically you could say he made him the new one, the black and red one, because it's his tech, Iron Man's tech. So really, he did do the same thing. Now, the next point is that I believe that there's way too much forced comedy, and it's not as bad as in Homecoming as it is in Far From Home. In Far From Home, the whole first act is literally meant for comedy, and I personally do not like that at all. At least in the other two actors, such as Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, there was sprinkled comedy. Well, not really in Spider-Man, but in the other ones, there was kind of sprinkled through comedy. And I really like that instead of just kind of forcing the comedy on everybody, because it doesn't work at all. I can't recall any moments in Far From Home that made me genuinely laugh. At least in Homecoming, there's a few moments that was kind of funny. And the next point is honestly a really big one for me on this list, and that there's not enough emotion, in my opinion. A perfect examples are that there's not enough money problems. We don't see any money problems that Peter really deals with. Stanley himself even says multiple times throughout his career that Spider-Man is supposed to have money problems. He's supposed to be relatable, but I can't really find myself relating to anything that this Peter Parker does. At least in Civil War, he had money problems. He even stated that he was a dumpster diver, implying that he had money problems. And like I said, kind of implying this as well, that there's not really much consequence in these movies. There's maybe one or two kind of consequence scenes, but they're mostly having to do with Iron Man, which really bothers me because it's not really anything having to do with Peter Parker. It's more living up to the mantle of Iron Man. And another one is that there are a lot of one-note characters such as Ned or MJ or some of the Peter's classmates, which is really annoying because I feel like they could have so much potential, but they really just don't give it their best try, you know? Now, this next point is not really a huge deal, but I think it's really sad when you think about it like this way. There's way too much CGI in this version of Spider-Man. It's really sad when an older movie has better CGI, such as The Amazing Spider-Man 1. I think it has pretty decent CGI. And and even the original trilogy has good CGI for the most part. It's sad to say that they have better CGI. It doesn't make any sense. I understand that these movies are a little bit more rushed compared to the other movies because they have at least usually a 2-year span. But these movies are billions, maybe millions, I don't know, of dollars. You think they'd have better CGI teams, or whatever you want to call them, to get just better CGI overall? I don't understand how they can have worse CGI. The next point is really just an annoying point over like an actual story problem point, and that is that Aunt May doesn't even care that Peter is Spider-Man in this universe. 100% guarantee you if it was the Tobey Maguire's or Andrew Garfield's Aunt May, they would 100% worry that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and they would try and stop him from pursuing his dream of Spider-Man. The reason I say this is because it's a very dangerous job, and I don't see them liking that. And the funny thing is, Aunt May even encourages him to be Spider-Man when she packs his suit on the plane. Like, what kind of aunt are you to do that to him? Let him make his own decision, especially about that, if anything. Now, the next point may be a little controversial to say, but I think that they should take out the Avengers from the Spider-Man movies specifically. You can put Spider-Man in the Avengers movies, just keep the Avengers out of the Spider-Man movies. And I say this because I feel like a lot of the story is based around the Avengers, especially Iron Man. And we should just get Spider-Man 3 to be focused on Spider-Man specifically and his life around him. You know what I'm saying? I think it'd be a lot of happy fans out there, including myself, especially if they can handle it right. And this kind of brings me to my next point. Let the Russo brothers direct the next Spider-Man movie, or get a different director that knows the character better. And I'm not saying the director doesn't know, because there could be limitations that I don't know about. But the Russo brothers really handled them perfectly, in my opinion, in Civil War. And I think they could do it even better if they had the chance to direct it. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, what about Infinity War? What about Endgame? He wasn't that great, in my opinion. It wasn't great in Infinity War or Endgame. But that's because they are building off of the stories from Homecoming at that point. So obviously, they're not going to make him completely different character if there's already built on the other stories. You know what I'm saying? In conclusion, Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies are fun to watch, and they might even be a little bit better than the Amazing series, but I could be wrong. I don't really know yet. But they will never be as good as the original trilogy, in my opinion. So you guys, please let me know what you guys think about Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. Do you love him? Do you hate him? Are you in the middle? What do you truly think about him? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out, guys.